Hey, welcome back to another day of Judy Bloom and the fourth grade nothing. Cool, right? God, what is going on with my hair today? Too much gel, I guess, but it's okay. So this chapter is called The Family Dog. Again, it's called The Family Dog. Go ahead and make a quick prediction to yourself, mom, dad, brother, sister. Hey, this chapter is going to have this, and this. So The Family Dog, make a prediction now. Good enough? All right, here we go. Nobody ever came right out and said fudge was the reason my father lost a GCO account, but I thought about it. My father said he was glad to be rid of Mr. Yarby. Now he could spend more time on his other clients, like the Toddlebite Company. My father is in charge of their new TV commercial. I thought maybe he could use me since I know how to stand on my head, but he says he wasn't planning on having any headstanders. My grandma taught me to stand on my head when I spent the night at her house. I can stay up for as long as up to 3 minutes. Right after I learned how to stand on my head, Fudge stopped eating. He did it suddenly, just like me. One day he ate fine, and the next day he said, and the next day, nothing. No eat, he told my mother. She didn't pay too much attention to him until the third day when he still refused to eat. You've got to eat, little Fudgy. You want to grow up and be big and strong. Nah, no grow. That night, my mother told my father how worried she was about Fudge, so my father did tricks for him while my mother stood over his chair trying to get some food in its mouth, but nothing worked. Finally, my mother got the brilliant idea of me standing on my head while she fed Fudge. I wasn't very excited about standing on my head in the kitchen. The floor is awfully hard there. But I did it, and I stood on my head, and when Fudge saw me upside down, he clapped his hands and laughed. When he laughs, he opens his mouth, and that's when my mother went right in. But the next morning, I put my foot down. No, I don't want to stand on my head in the kitchen or anywhere else, I added. And if I don't hurry, I'll be late for school. Don't you care if your brother starves? Nah, I told her. Peter, what an awful thing to say. Well, he'll eat when he gets hungry. Why don't you just leave him alone? That afternoon, when I came home from school, I found my brother on the kitchen floor playing with boxes of cereals and raisins and dried apricots. My mother was begging him to eat. No, 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 Fudge shouted. He made a terrible mess, dumping everything on the floor. Please stand on your head, Peter. No, I told her. I'm not going to stand on my head anymore. But that night, during dinner, Fudge hid under the kitchen table and he said, I'm a doggy. Woof. Woof, woof, woof. And it was hard to eat with him under the table pulling on my legs. I waited for my father to do something, but he didn't. Finally, my mother jumped up. I know. If Fudgy's a dog, he wants to eat on the floor, right? If you ask me, Fudge never thought about that, but he liked the idea a lot. He barked and he nodded his head, so my mother fixed up a plate and put it under the table. My father said, aren't we carrying this a little too far? But my mother didn't answer. Fudge ate 2 bites of dinner. Mother was satisfied. After a week of having him eat under the table, I felt like we really did have a dog. I thought how great it would be if we could just trade Fudge in for a nice Cocker Spaniel. That would solve all my problems. Grandma came over with a million ideas about getting Fudge to eat. She tricked him by making milkshakes in the blender. When Fudge wasn't looking, she threw in an egg, and she told him if he drank all, it would be a surprise at the bottom of the glass. The first time, he believed her. He finished his milkshake, but all he saw was an empty glass. Fudge got so mad he threw the glass down and he smashed it in a million pieces. After that, Grandma left. The next day, my mother dragged Fudge to Dr. Cohn's office. She told her to leave him alone and that Fudge would eat when he gets hungry. I reminded my mother that I told her the exact same thing, and I did it for free. So that night, my mother broiled some lamb chops just for Fudge. The rest of us ate stew. She served him 2 little lamb chops under the table. Just the smell of them was enough to make my stomach growl. I thought it was mean for Mother to make them for Fudge, and not for me. It's not fair. Fudge looked at the lamb chops for a few minutes and said, No! No chops! Fudge, you'll starve. You must eat. No chops. Cornflakes for me. Want cornflakes. I would have said something better. My mother ran off to get the cereal for Fudge. You can eat the chops if you want them, Peter. I reached down and helped myself to the lamb chops. My mother handed Fudge his bowl of cereal. But he didn't eat it. He sat on my feet and looked at me. Eat your cereal, Father yelled. No, no cereal. Fudge yelled. My father was getting really mad. Fudge, you will eat that cereal or you're going to wear it. This was turning out to be fun after all, I thought, and the lamb chops were really good. I dipped the bone into some ketchup and chewed away. Fudge kept yelling, no, eat, no, eat, no, eat. And my father wiped his mouth with his napkin, pushed back his chair, and got up from the table. I just went along nibbling on my bone. My father stood Fudge in the tub and dumped the whole bowl of cereal right over his head. Fudge screamed. He sure can scream loud. My father motioned for him to go back to the kitchen. He joined us in a minute. He sat down and finished our dinner. Fudge kept on screaming. My mother wanted him to go, but my father told her to stay where she was. He'd had enough of Fudge's monkey business at mealtimes. I think my mother was really relieved that my dad took over. The next day, Fudge sat at the table again in his little red booster chair where he belongs. He ate everything and that mother put in front of him. No more doggy, he told us. And for a long time after, his favorite expression was, eat it or wear it. Curious, right? And that is the end of this chapter. You guys write in your prediction? Did they actually get a dog? Kind of not, right? There will be some questions in this, and then the tab, again, go and fill them out. It's just a quick couple of multiple choice, and then one free answer. Can't wait to see what happens in chapter 4. Catch you guys next time.